The 2025 NFL Draft is almost here, so in today's video, we're going to go through some Saints draft news that you, Who Dat Nation, need to see. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. Before we get into all of this draft buzz and all of the news, I want to just ask you a simple question, and feel free to use the comment section as like a therapy session. If you have worries, if you have concerns, feel free to air out those grievances. But if you're just excited about the draft, I want to hear from you as well. How are you feeling? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Are you worried? Are you pumped up? Are you just like, man, I'm just ready for it to be here? Just get down in the comments section. I want to hear from you because at the end of the day, we're a family and we're all friends, and I just want to hear how my squad is doing. Now, in case you guys didn't know, I want to let you all know what those draft picks are here in a couple of weeks. We got 9 total picks for New Orleans. You're going to have 1 in round 1, obviously. It's a 9th overall selection, and then you're going to have 1 on round 2, and a grand total of 3 day 2 picks, 1 on round 2, 2 in round 3, one of those coming from the Marshawn Lattimore trade. And then you'll have 2 picks in round 4, one of those a 4th round pick from the Commanders from the Marshawn Lattimore trade. And then you also have a 7th round pick overall from Philadelphia. You have a 7th round comp pick. You have 6 picks in the top 150, so you have a really good opportunity to add some prime talent. And, you know, I will say this. I expect the New Orleans Saints to draft the best player available in round 1. I think that's the strategy that they're going to use. And Kellen Moore, he even added some insight about that, and he talked about, you know, we're not going to pass up on players just because, you know, we have those kind of players or because they don't fit the scheme right now. Like, you know, I think that Katherine Terrell also shared some of this same insight in an ESPN article kind of laying out some news and nuggets around each draft team and the strategy and all the information you might want to know from ESPN+. The Saints opened up a significant amount of cap space through restructures and pay cuts, but they'll need to save money for next year with decisions coming up about some of their veteran players. That means they also need to think ahead. The Saints have needs all over the board, making several positions a possibility, including the defensive line, O-line, wide receiver, or even quarterback. And, you know, this is one of the first years in a long time, it feels like the Saints are truly a wild card in round 1. You know, I think it's just as likely that they go and get Will Campbell or Shedeur Sanders or Ashton Jeanty or Tet McMillan or Will Johnson or Michael Williams or Jalen Walker or Jihad Campbell. Like, I truly do not know what route the New Orleans Saints are going to go. And I think that, honestly, that might be a good thing because you don't know what guys are going to be interested or what teams are going to be interested in players behind you. So maybe there's the idea to trade up and yada, yada, yada. So, like, you know, this is an interesting spot to be for the New Orleans Saints. And we do know that Kellen Moore's philosophy, like I mentioned a bit ago, was that you don't want to pass up on good players just because they can't quite fit what you currently do. So just because you brought in Juwan Johnson or re-signed Juwan Johnson to, you know, a 3-year, $30 million contract should not stop you from drafting a Colston Loveland or a Tyler Warren or, you know, one of the other top tight ends in this draft class. And, you know, I also will say this. We know that Kellen Moore, he wants players that are going to be fast, physical, smart, and, you know, guys who are just going to contribute and with multiple facets. So, in my opinion, my top 10 draft targets in no particular order, you know, I would be genuinely happy with any of these guys to be the pick at number 9 overall. You're not going to see names like Abdul Carter or Cam Ward or Mason Graham because I don't believe that those players are going to fall to the New Orleans Saints at number 9. These are players that I believe will be available when the Saints make their selection, and I would be genuinely very happy with any of these guys. And honestly, Jaxson Dart, you'd have to do a little bit of convincing, but at the end of the day, I want to see Kellen Moore get to work with his quarterback, and if he believes in Dart, then shoot, I do too. And it goes to say, or that's the same for any of these guys on this list. So I want to ask you, when it comes to round 1, are you going to focus offense or defense? Because quite frankly, both sides of the football, they need some work. So I want to hear what you guys are going to target. O for offense, D for defense. Let me know down in the comment section and share your thoughts because I know you guys know ball, and I know Saints fans are the smartest ones out there in the whole wide world. I also will encourage you today to subscribe to Saints Now for our awesome draft coverage. We're going to be live throughout the NFL draft. I'm really, really excited for this year. Me and my boy Nick Lopez, we're going to be live all 3 days. We're going to be live all 7 rounds. I hope you guys are tuned in for it. We're going to be reacting to every single pick, and we're going to be actually getting those picks, especially on day 2 and day 3 before they're announced on television and whatnot. And, you know, we're going to have deep analysis for each pick from a Saints perspective. It's Saints content by fans for fans, and you know we're going to be interacting with the live chat, doing super chat giveaways and all sorts of fun stuff, and we're going to be trying to chip away to that road to 50K. So subscribe today, join us, turn on your notifications, that way you don't miss our live coverage, that way you don't miss out whenever we do end up going live all throughout the offseason and throughout the regular season as well. Now let's talk about the player I believe the New Orleans Saints are going to select, and that is Tyler Warren. I do think that this is the player who will be the pick at number 9 overall, because we've talked about the Saints being a team that wants to be very, very active in terms of getting playmakers and guys who can be contributors no matter what, and this is a player who is exactly that. And overall, Tyler Warren, he's a player that still has development to do as a route runner and as a blocker. That being said, he's an overall offensive weapon, and he, in my opinion, is one of the best overall offensive weapons. He can throw the ball, he can pass the ball, he can run the ball, you can line him up anywhere, line him up in the Wildcat. He's extremely, extremely versatile. He's also a player who has great size, who naturally tracks the football and with dependable hands, and he has the hunger to create after the catch. I'm really excited about Tyler Warren. And Jordan Reid, he also shares that sentiment with me as well, that Tyler Warren could be the pick for the Saints at number 9. This roster needs to be upgraded in the trenches. So I expect the Saints' first-round pick to be offensive lineman or a pass catcher such as Tyler Warren. And I'll just say this, like, this cannot be more simple. Just don't overthink things. If you see Tyler Warren, go take Tyler Warren. If you see Tet McMillan, go take Tet McMillan. Don't try to go and get a guy like Shamar Stewart. That would just be stupid. Don't go draft a developmental piece that may or may not work out, and you just really like the upside and you love the athleticism, the production's never been there. Like, just give me somebody that I can get excited about on Sundays. Give me somebody that I'm going to want to buy their jersey. Give me somebody that I'm going to want to tune into on Sundays, because I know this season might be tough, but can I have something to be excited about? Can I have something that I can root for every single week? Can I have something to cheer for? That's all I'm asking for. I don't necessarily care if it's a quarterback. I don't really care if it's a running back. I don't care if it's a wide receiver. I don't care if it's a defensive lineman. I couldn't give less of a shit. I just want something to be excited about. Now, will the Saints draft a quarterback? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, maybe. To be honest, I would prefer in round 1 to go with an offensive weapon. Like, I can understand the reasoning behind going and getting a cornerback. I can also understand why certain people want defensive line or offensive line, because the trenches are important to build. But I would prefer to get an offensive weapon. Go get me Ashton Jeanty. Go get me Tet McMillan. Give me Tyler Warren. Give me the best offensive weapon available, because I want somebody that I can wear their jersey. I want somebody that I can get excited about on Sundays. And I want somebody, quite frankly, who can give the entire fan base a spark, because that's what we're missing right now. And I can also tell you what you are missing is the Game Time app. And if you want to go see, you know, whoever the first-round pick is going to be, hopefully Tyler Warren or maybe Shedeur Sanders or maybe Jaxson Dart, you can actually go ahead and buy tickets to Saints games now, and you'll actually get $20 off if you use our code CHATSPORTS. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, so make sure you download the Game Time app. Like I mentioned, you can get tickets to Jazz Fest, Arkansas versus LSU. My Razorbacks are the #1 baseball team in the country, so you want to see him take on LSU. A lot of implications for the SEC tournament, a lot of implications for Omaha. That's going to be a very important series. But you can also get tickets, like I said, to the Falcons at Saints games or any of the games at the Superdome. The Saints are going to have a lot of really interesting games. Hopefully, there will be a lot more juice, and hopefully this season will be a lot better than last year. So, Kellen Moore, it's your first year, and you want to check him out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Make sure you check out the super deals. These tickets are the best value for events, and Game Time doesn't just stop at sports. They also have tickets to concerts, comedy shows, theater, and other live events in your area. And make sure when you also check out the super deals to look at the game time picks. It's a new feature that filters out the fluff to show you only seats that you're interested in. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. The information is in the comments and description of this video. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's video. We really appreciate you guys for hanging out with us and helping us make today's show possible. Now, I want to continue this conversation about drafting a quarterback because, I do believe the New Orleans Saints will end up taking a quarterback. I just don't think it'll be day one. I do think Jaxson Dart is very much so in play. I think Quinn Ewers is very much so in play. And to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if Kellen Moore is even maybe that's not my starter, but, I'd like to see him be a backup, and I'd like to have him compete with Rattler or Haener to be the QB2. So, in round 1, maybe not, but round 2 through 7, sure. I definitely think a quarterback is in the cards. And Katherine, Terrell of ESPN, she did so much great work in this article. I highly encourage you guys to check it out. She also went on to say, from her conversations with sources around the league in the past few weeks, the Saints are viewed as a wild card because of all of the needs they have. Remember, I was saying they're a wild card. They have so many needs, and, the league also feels that way, not just me. New Orleans has done a lot of extra work on this quarterback class and been a constant presence at pro days. But there's some skepticism on whether it would target a QB in round 1. Now, maybe not in round 1. That would probably be Shedeur Sanders if you do go with a quarterback. But in rounds 2 through 6, I could definitely see Quinn Ewers, Jaxson Dart, Jalen Milroe also being very strong candidates. I do know that Kellen Moore was present at Ole Miss's pro day, physically there. He had his own eyeballs on Jaxson Dart, and those are things that are not insignificant. I also know that he had a lot of interest, or not a lot of interest, but at least a lot of meetings. I don't want to put words out there that aren't true, but a lot of meetings with Quinn Ewers. So to me, that tells me there's interest. He had a top 30 visit. They took him out to dinner. They were there at the pro day for Texas. And, same with Shedeur Sanders. The Saints Kellen Moore wasn't there, but they were interested. And Jalen Milroe, there's reports out there that they were very impressed with the stuff that he did in a private workout. So the big question is, who's Kellen Moore's guy? That's what we have to find out the answer to. And the only guy who can answer that is Kellen Moore. And if it had to be one guy, I personally think it's going to be Jaxson Dart. He is a player that I think is easy to get excited about. He's a very good-sized athlete, really nice body mass, giggity. He's a willing vertical passer, and he can create with his legs. He had the most passing yards in a season for Ole Miss, and he leads Ole Miss's all-time school record in passing yards, passing Eli Manning with over 10,000, which is pretty cool. Led the SEC in passing yards and in completion percentage. He can move with his legs. He's a really good athlete. He's comfortable maneuvering the pocket. He's just a player that honestly just needs to develop a little bit more when it comes to his progression-based reads. So those are things that he wasn't asked to do a lot at Ole Miss, and those are things that you will have to do at the NFL level. But he has the intangibles. He has the leadership qualities, and he is a player that I do think the Saints are interested in. So I think Jaxson Dart is Moore's favorite quarterback in this year's draft class. I don't think that him being there in person is not insignificant. I think that it does mean something. But the thing to consider also is what other teams are interested in Jaxson Dart? What other teams love him? What other teams are interested in drafting him? Because maybe it's a team that picks late in the first round, or maybe it's a team that picks ahead of the Saints in day 2, or maybe it's a team that wants to trade up and leap ahead of the Saints to go and get him. So, that's something to consider too. When do you go and take your guy? If you know Jaxson Dart's your guy, do you go and get him in round 1, or do you risk it and gamble and see if he's there at 40? Or maybe you do what Mel Kiper did and you trade back into round 1. There's so many different possibilities because just because we like Jaxson Dart doesn't mean a lot of other teams don't like Jaxson Dart. There's 31 other teams that got to make picks out there, and a handful of them could use a quarterback. So we'll have to see what happens. The draft's going to be exciting, and I think this is going to be a really, really fun one. Now, get down in the comment section. I want you to give me your top 5 draft targets for round 1. Any position, offense, defense, I could care less. I want you to give me your top 5 in no particular order. I got to say mine are probably, let me think here. On the spot, I'm going to go Tet McMillan, Tyler Warren, Ashton Ginty, Will Campbell, and Jahdae Barron. Those are my top 5 for the New Orleans Saints, in my personal opinion. maybe you could argue Shedeur Sanders. Guys, I encourage you to give me a follow on social media. I post a lot of Saints content out there and trying to boost my social media platform, so hit me up. The links are going to be in the comments and description of this video. On X, TraceGerard48. It's the same thing on TikTok. Hit your boy up if you guys like short-form videos. I also post a lot on Instagram, too. It's the same username, just with an underscore at the end. All of it linked in the comments and description of this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.